All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me here. Got a special guest today. Been doing this a little bit more. Please welcome Mr. Robbie LaBlanc from the Frontiers record label and his project called Find Me. Robbie is a vocalist extraordinaire. Been doing this for quite some time. How's it going, Robbie?
David, hanging in there. I'm doing okay, man.
All right. I'm going to get comments that you talk a little bit like Dean Castronovo. All right. And and Dean might actually call me and say, Dave, who was that on your show? What was he doing? Was he trying to be me? What's going on? So it'd be funny if he calls me. He's just,
That'd be pretty cool. He's a great singer. I love his voice, actually. He and his drums, actually, as well. But
yeah,
what a great talent.
He's a crazy personality, too.
That's awesome.
All right, so, Robbie, let's go back to the beginning for some of, my audience who've been, they're kind of old school.
Sure.
Take us back to the very beginning. Like, what got you into music? What was your first band, record contract, the whole deal?
Okay. This is going back a bit since I just turned 60 years old back in February. So
no way.
My brother and I growing up, we grew up in Connecticut and came from a pretty musical family. My dad played the guitar. He knew about probably 5 chords, but he would make the best out of those 5, and it was pretty cool. So we learned like Johnny Cash songs and stuff like that as kids, and then I think I started playing the guitar when I was 10. My brother was about 8.
Nice.
But I started on drums first, and I was kind of a lousy drummer, but
right.
So just felt that I felt in my mind that if I played the guitar and sang, you would get more chicks, right? So I switched there and sort of learned by ear. My dad bought us a chord book to learn more chords than he was showing us, right? So I remember the first day learning an E chord, and I remember that most Creedence Clearwater Revival songs were in E, which was a great thing. So that was pretty fun. And my brother just and I just had this way of we can harmonize really well together. So we could harmonize exactly like the Beatles, of course, were very influential. Simon and Garfunkel, Eagles, the Bee Gees. Yeah, the Bee Gees were like huge in our family. Like my father loved the Bee Gees, and my dad, my brother, and I used to sing like 3-part harmony. Sometimes just like clowning around in the house as young kids, and so it's pretty cool. And then we got through high school. Had a bunch of high school bands and things like that. And we went to college. I went to University of Connecticut, and my brother and I were roommates. Actually, I was a junior, and he was a freshman. That didn't work out very well. We were separated the next year, but we played music on campus all the time. As a duo. Made some money, and then we graduated school, and I got. We had a demo tape. Like my mom and dad were very supportive of our like music stuff, but back then, you couldn't just go in your house studio or get on your garage band, and make a recording. I mean, you had to save money, right?
Right.
For the 2-inch tape, for all the studio time, the engineer, quite a costly experience. So anytime we had $1,000 in our little till, we used to get like studio time. And I remember when we had our latest demo, I went to New York City, and I walked the streets of New York, and there was a guy that had a couple of hit records back then. It's a little cheesy, but he's a brilliant guy. Remember a guy named Rupert Holmes?
Oh, of course. Are you kidding?
Right. So if you like pina coladas.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, my wife, that song comes on, my wife just stops everything else and starts singing it. I don't care. It's great. I'm probably going to do a video about the song eventually, because again, it's one of those things that it's pop culture now, you know.
But a better song that he did was called Him.
Yeah, it's a follow-up.
Right? And what you gonna do about him? You know, and
I was worried about those cigarettes. I never wanted to smoke
exactly.
after I heard that.
Over by the window. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, perfect.
so I got into, I just walked in blind to his office, and his secretary, you know, was giving me a hard time. He was behind the glass in his office, and I didn't know that. And he came out and said, really, man, you're just a nice young kid. Give me your tape and I'll listen to it. Right. So anyway, I gave him the tape. I thanked him very, very much, and sang a few of his songs to him, so he knew that I was a fan. And he said, "Oh wow, I like your voice, you know." So anyway, I walked around New York, dropped off a few more tapes. When I got home, my father said to me, "Hey Rob, a guy named Rupert Jones just called." I said, "No, Dad, Rupert Holmes." He goes, "Yeah. Holmes said to call him back." He goes, he wants to talk to you and Brian." So I thought that was great, you know. So we went down again, and we had a deal with his company that fizzled out. Yeah. But right after that, we met this guy Felix Cavalieri from the Rascals, and the Rascals.
This guy, I love how you're like, this guy Felix.
Love it. Felix and I are still close to this day, but
greatest blue-eyed soul singer probably on the face of the planet.
And a beautiful guy like to boot, right? So he met me, and we had I sang background vocals on one of his demos he was doing, because he lived in Connecticut as well. He lived right up the street from Laura Nero. So we met in Norwalk, Connecticut, and we did some vocals. And he said, "Man," he goes, "what's up with you?" I said, "Well, here's our tape, you know." And then Felix, from that moment, David, took us under his wing and was more like a protector in the business, you know. And it was funny. I'll never forget it. And if I'm too long-winded here, let me know.
No, this is great. This is the stuff I live for. Go.
That's great. So it was during, you know, probably like the first 3 or 4 months that Felix and I were working together, with my brother as well, of course, because my brother wrote, you know, pretty much 95% of all of our music. I threw in lyrics once in a while, but yeah. So Felix picked me up one day and asked my mom. He said, Mary, can I bring your son down to New York? Because Felix, of course. So, man, I'll never forget this, David. It was when HBO and all this stuff, all the cable was first starting out, right? Yeah. It had to be like 1982, no, probably 83, around there. Yep. And cable was getting bigger and bigger. HBO had offered the Rascals, I think, an exorbitant amount of money to get together and do like a reunion. So Felix said, Robbie, I'm bringing you down there because I want you to witness today what I don't want you and your brother to become later in life. And I said, Felix, you didn't even have a good feeling walking in. He goes, look, man, I'm going to be open as anything, but it's just not going to work out. Watch. So son of a gun, Dave, we go down there to the studio. They've got a bass player that's hired, and an external guitar player, along with Gene, right? Because there was like Dino Danelli on drums, great friggin' drummer. Gene Cornish, bass player, Felix on the keys, second keyboard player actually now that I remember. And I think some of these guys went on to play in the band called Frankie and the Knockouts. Remember those?
Oh yeah, sweetheart.
Frankie Previtt.
Yeah.
Great friggin' singer actually. So anyway, I kid you not, they could not get one song done in 4 hours. Whoa. They could not agree on anything. So, we left, and Felix said, man, this is just not going to happen, right? And I felt really, really bad because, he needed a little bit of a boost at that point in his career. But he subsequently got assigned to this new label in New York. It was called the New York Music Company, and we did a project called Fury, Fury, and that was our first sort of thing. some really good musicians were on that. We had Frank Sims, background singer. You know, Frank and George had a band, the Sims Brothers, but Frank went on to, you know, he was a brilliant like voiceover guy. So if you ever hear the commercial pizza, 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 you know, that's like Frank Sims doing that. But
really,
I mean,
that's funny.
Yeah. But Frank and George did all the background vocals for like David Bowie's record, you know, Let's Dance and all that stuff. They did.
Wow.
They went on tour with him. So any like the videos, you see these two guys singing with Bowie. That's Frank and George. They did River Dreams. Yeah. You know, all the things with Billy Joel and all that. So Madonna worked with her. So great vocalists. So we got them in there, you know, to help us out. Yeah. We had a great keyboard player, Jeff Bova, who went on to play with you know, Robert Palmer. You know, Bova did all the horns in like the horn synth stuff in what the hell was the song? Addicted to Love, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was the first time this little breath unit, it was called a breath unit that you attach like to the DX7. Yeah. That would give you those horn swells, right? So Bova was a master on that and a great guy. So we had some really great people playing on the record, but the record, it came out, we were on MTV for a little bit. Yeah. VH1, yep. VH1 just started up a little bit, but the album didn't do very well. So, you know, from there, we're kind of floundering around, you know, just writing some material, trying to find a manager. I mean, Felix stayed in touch, but he had to, you know, go on the road and make his own money now, right? Because he invested a lot of time with my brother and I. Yeah. So we went on, and then finally, I'll go on to say about 1989, 1990-ish or so, we met a guy from Fairfield, Connecticut, and Michael Bolton was extremely kind to us and allowed us to use his studio when he was on the road and doing all kinds of stuff. Now, Michael at that point in time was huge, right? So yeah. He was out a lot, but we recorded probably, oh man, it had to be at least 3 albums worth of material in there. And, you know, and we worked with this guy, Jan, and then this beautiful guy, Steve Milo, who's still a friend of mine, actually. Steve is actually still with Michael Bolton, but we like did a bunch of songs, but the highlight was, and you're gonna love this story, man. So the highlight, they were working on Michael's new album, and Mutt Lange came out to the studio. Nice. Oh yeah, and they were working on a song called "Said I Loved You, But I Lied," right? Said I loved you, but so yeah, great.
Even if you don't like, even if you're not a fan of Michael Bolton, that record is haunting. That's like the melody of that and the structure of that song, just out of this world.
It's it, man. Yeah. That's him and Mutt Lange. So Mutt Lange never let anybody hang in the studio with him, right? But he said to my brother, "Hey, you guys, just go in the back, man, hang out, relax." And we got to witness how he did all those, Def Leppard,
the dubs,
Twain, like background vocals. Man,
the super dub overdubs. Yeah,
unbelievable. It was so cool. And then we got to play softball with him. So Michael Bolton was a big softball fanatic. So we were playing softball. I was in the outfield with Mutt, and Mutt. No, really, man. And he didn't know how to play softball because he's from South Africa. So he plays cricket, right? Yeah. And he had had an accent and said, "Robbie, what do I do when the ball is hit to me, man?" And I said, "Mutt, man, just like catch it and then give it to me, right?" So somebody's gonna fly. So somebody hits a fly ball. Mutt like catches it and goes, "Quick, Robbie, here!" Go, "No, Mutt, he's out, man. You like caught it, like he's out, And he was trying like hell, like to get the game of softball down, but he was a really cool guy. He wouldn't take on any new acts or anything. He only worked at that point with like really established acts, right? So you couldn't even But
this
super guy.
This was pre-Shania.
It was, yeah. I don't think he even met her yet. So And then from there, the Bolton stuff didn't work out. But then right after that, I remember doing some demos in our house, David, and they were on a DAT tape at that time.
I remember those.
Tape we mixed to, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy who owned a limo company, like my buddy Lenny, called me up and said, "Hey, Rob, I found we just brought Arif Mardin to the city,
Jeez.
And funny how Arif produced all the Rascal stuff, but
yes,
but we didn't bring that up. So I got his address, from Lenny. I dropped a DAT tape off in Arif's mailbox in Connecticut. He at the time lived in Weston, Connecticut, and so the next day we're in the studio again, like my brother and I. The phone rings, right? Hello, is Robert there? And I said, Len, stop fucking around. Sorry to swear. Stop screwing around. And he goes, no. This is Arif Mardin. You dropped the tape in my mailbox. I'm on my way to Miami to produce the Bee Gees, but go into New York to Atlantic Records, and I want you to meet my assistant. I went, oh my God, man, So we were so thrilled because Arif.
What year was that? What year?
Oh, I'll go on and say that had to be about 1994, maybe something like that.
So you're and I this is what I call this on the channel. We could talk about this a little bit. So you're in the wasteland at this point, 1994.
Wasteland.
The grunge apocalypse has hit. All right, the wave has come over the music industry, and you're sending out tapes. You got a Reef calling you, and you're thinking it's a hoax. All right, which is great. 94. So a guy with your vocal chops in 1994, a melodic rock guy, a guy who was hanging out with the Rascals basically for a little while, and you're thinking, okay, what's my future going to be like? And this is, you're one of those guys. All right, well, let's let you keep telling the story, because I don't want to, maybe some good stuff happens and I don't know.
No. So what happened was I think Arif's title, besides being one of the, like the best producers in the world, right? Was maybe vice president of A&R or something. I just don't remember. But wasn't he at Atlantic Records? Yeah. So we went down to Atlantic Records, which was 1841 Broadway at the time. It's not there anymore. But walked in, met Vicky, his assistant at the time. Arif got us, I think, 10 grand to put on a showcase at SIR, and I'll never forget it. It was all the new regime of Atlantic, and we were kind of labeled, just as you alluded to, we were looked at as dinosaurs, right? And stuff like Sugar Ray was out at the time, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Which I love Sugar Ray actually, but
he's okay. He's all right.
Yeah. Some of the songs are catchy. But we got dumped on, and so that blew that deal. And then you gotta look at this now. From then till we got signed to Frontiers as Blanc Faces. Yeah. I think that was in 2005.
Wow.
So you
never had that one. I was thinking that there was something I missed, because I went back, kind of looked at your history a little bit, and I was thinking, well, there's got to be, maybe he was probably the lead singer of a band in the 80s or the early 90s or something, but you didn't even get, you were close. You had that one album, and then you were on MTV and so forth, and then that kind of fizzled, and then you were waiting. You were sending tapes. You had producers. Big name people. When you're talking Felix Cavallari at the beginning, I'm going, oh, this is going to be great. And it's like, so you didn't actually get the record deal until Frontier signed you in 2005.
That's exactly right. And how that happened was, my friend Lenny, the same guy that gave me Arif Mardin's address, sent over one of our CDs to Serafino. Serafino got it, and then my brother's wife Roseanne did all the stuff, all the the back and forth, and we got the deal worked out. Yeah. And we did 2 albums, you know, for that label and for Frontiers, and it got the Blank Faces stuff got really, really great reviews. So we were ecstatic, you know.
Yeah, it's really,
you know.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's very melodic, and it's very catchy material, and there's kind of a basic sound to it that I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out that I've been hearing the last few years, everybody's trying to kind of out-compress everyone else with the sound and the wall and the noise. I tend to, it's just my preference, and you know, it's just the way I listen to things. But I like to hear individual instruments. I like to hear a little air. That's what I always say. I like to hear some air.
Absolutely.
You know, and you've got some pipes, man. You've got.
Thank you.
The audience. Here's the thing, and I want to talk about this. This is really important because when I heard you, I think for the first time, I said, "Who the hell is that?" I mean, how did I not hear this guy? So I went, like I said, I went digging through the Find Me records. So you've been doing now. Explain. I want to know who decided on the name Find Me, because it's a little bit, it's different. I'm just going to put it that way. It's from a marketing perspective. It's different. You got the albums it's more conceptual. It's almost like a rock collective kind of thing. But you're the guy who sings for Find Me. So how did that all start?
So I guess my brother, you know, didn't want to do any more Blank Faces records. So it's maybe a couple years after Falling from the Moon came out, and Serafino sent me an email, and he said, Serafino calls me Sinatra. So he says, Sinatra, you want to be the lead singer on this project, you know, that I'm working, you know, a lot of guys are from Sweden on it, you know, we'll send you some demos, you know, tell us what you think. So all the demos came in, and I said, yeah, man, this is great. You know, it's just great rock and roll. And look, David, I just want to look, man, if I had the opportunity to be blessed to be able to, you know, sing still and to have records to work on, like at my age, man, I'm grateful. Right. So,
gotcha.
and I love the challenge. And I said, yeah, man, let's do this thing. So Daniel Flores, you know, producer, got all the great writers together. He wrote some stuff, but, you know, got guys like Alessandro, and on the latest Find Me stuff, you know, Stefano Lionetti and all these guys. And I'll allude to something pretty funny at the end here. But so just great guy Phil Lindstrom and Soren, you know, all the great people that I've met from this project, you know, and had the opportunity to play a couple times. I mean, the Find Me gig, I'll never forget. The first one I did was in the Milan thing.
Yeah.
And what happened to me, man, is I walked on the stage and I inhaled all that dry ice smoke. And the first 4 or 5 songs, man, I had absolutely no saliva in my mouth at all. It was picture that for a minute. I mean, I'm not lying. There was no saliva, so I'm dumping water on myself and like trying to tell the stage guy, you know, no smoke, you know, no fumati, you know, whatever, right?
Fumati.
Oh, I was dying, man. But then I think by about song 5, I started to get a little something back. But I see the tapes on that, and I play them back and go, oh, God, I sounded like crap, man. But anyway.
Not your fault.
But,
so Serafino, obviously, he was the guy. He's the guy. He got you, and he said he does that a lot. He believes in people, and he, you know, he takes a chance on people. I mean, I think he's got really good judgment most of the time. And this last record you guys came out with, I think, was really well received. I think a lot of people who hadn't really been paying attention to Find Me. First of all, you recorded Desperate Dreams. All right.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm just going to say, if anybody has not heard the song, the original by Survivor, in full confession, next to Robbie LaBlanc, my favorite vocalist of all time is Jimmy Jameson. So,
love it.
I mean, holy crap, Batman. I mean, the fact that you did Desperate Dreams, the dude from Perfect Plan didn't know it was love on his, they didn't put it on an album, they just recorded it. And I'm thinking, Jimmy does something to me, man. I listen to that guy sing, and I'm thinking, the swagger of him. I see the old microphone from like the 1950s, him holding it on stage, carrying a flag with the other arm, you know, just like I'm storming the beach with my voice. You know what I mean? This guy, God rest his soul, he had something else. And I think you got a little bit of, my point is, I think you got some of that.
Well, man, you know, I like to think that I could at least try and channel some of it, right? So,
yeah,
when I get moved by a vocalist, you know, and I tell you, there are a number of them that move me. You know, guys like Bobby Kimball from Toto, Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad, Daryl Hall, Hall and Oates, right?
Good one.
Jimmy Jameson. I mean, even like McCartney. I mean, McCartney, like in an early age for me, you know, I learned that you don't have to have just one voice, right? So you could sing something like Helter Skelter and then do I Will, right? You know?
Yeah,
so it's,
true.
So I kind of just drink all that in, you know. Lou Graham from Foreigner, right?
Oh,
great.
Dude.
Forget about it, right? You know, so it, you know, the Desperate Dreams thing. So we had the album, you know, Find Me 3 Angels in Blue was done. And I said, guys, I asked Serafino, I said, look, man, I'd really like to do a cover of Desperate Dreams because that's my favorite Survivor song. And I want to just throw out how much I love Jimmy Jameson, and I would appreciate the opportunity if I could do that. And he said, well, you know, Robbie, all the songs are done, you know, the budget's done. So what I did is I called up Daniel Flores. I said, Dan, look, man, we got to do Desperate Dreams for the disc.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, there's no more budget. I said, look, man, I'll pay extra, you know, just to have the song done. So anyway, he went back and told all the players. And the players said, no way, man. You know, we're not taking a nickel. You know, like if Robbie wants this song on their, you know, record, we're all going to do it, man, you know, for him and Jimmy, right? And the guys did like one extra track, you know, for no pay, you know, which was great. And we don't get paid a lot anyway. But it's like, you know, they just did it. And they did 1,000% on it. Yeah. And I remember like it was time like to do the vocal. And I'm going, oh, shit, man, you know. I said, you know, so what I did, and went in the studio. I lived in Connecticut then. Yeah. I went downstairs, and I lit a candle, and I got a picture of Jimmy Jameson out.
Oh, no way.
Put it right there. Oh, yeah. And had a glass of wine, and I said, I'm not going to piece the song together. This has to be one take, you know, or I'm not going to put it out, you know. Yeah. So I did about three takes, and I did 6 takes and wasn't there. I said, you know what, man, let me give it one more take, lucky 7. Yeah. See if I can nail this thing. And son of a gun, man, take 7 was the one. Yeah. And I sent it out to Danielle, and no auto-tune crap or any of that stuff. And he said, man, this is beautiful, right? And we changed it, put a little bit, you know, we put a little bit more, we put in the middle 8, you know, 2 dreams united. You know, we put all some backgrounds on top in there, you know, just to change it up a little bit. But we stayed true to the song. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's most ignored album probably in anybody's canon or whatever you want to call it. I don't understand the music industry at that moment. I was just getting into radio and stuff in those days, and all I can tell you is that record was ignored.
It was.
That one, and the whole album, Didn't Know It Was Love, was, again, another one of those. I mean, it just, the Jim Peterick is like, I mean, I don't know how he does it. The dude has... I mean, he must just wake up in the middle of the night with stuff coming out of his brain, and he's got to go.
The guy's so melodic, man. He's like so melodic that it's like, I mean, try singing that ballad. I always try singing that one in the shower all the time, and I don't know how he even wrote the song.
The Search Is Over.
Oh,
is that it?
Yeah, it is.
It's insane. That to me, and again, it's because I'm partial to Jimmy. I don't know what is a better. I mean, the power ballad was kind of early '80s, where it really started. You had REO and Journey and some of these groups that had, you had other things in the 70s that kind of like Nazareth, like Love Hurts, things like that.
Exactly.
But when you got to The Search Is Over, that was like, because his voice was all alone. You know what I mean? It was such a sparse.
All alone.
And he had to just, I'm going to get emotional.
I know. I get it, man.
Yeah. Because it's just, I mean, you talk about the auto-tune, and like, you know, I have a 15-year-old, and I try to explain to him, I said, I used to, you know, this stuff didn't happen. All right. Not everybody sounded this way. You had individual, that's why you had a guy like Lou Gramm, where you would go, crap, Steve Walsh, you would go,
Steve
how's
Walsh,
he doing
exactly.
that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And the list,
Great
and
singers.
you and I were lucky because we lived through, we were there when these songs, you turned the radio on, you'd be like, holy crap, who's this? You know, and it's, you know, and this is why I wanted to have you on, because when I first heard you, I go, this is a guy who fits into that whole scheme of things, even though he wasn't known in those days, or he, you know, had a little bit of a late start. We'll say, we'll be nice. We'll say it happened a little bit later. But you hit right when the industry just changed direction. And nowadays, and I want to ask you about like, what's your opinion of when you turn on the radio now, not like the classic rock station, which you're probably more apt to listen to, but what's going on? I mean, is this over? Is this kind of over? Are we in a little, you and I are in our little bubble and we're going to live in there? Is that what's going to happen?
David, how do I say this the right way? I think country music tried to take over some of the pop stuff that's not happening anymore. I think you've got a little bit of leeway in country that's trying to bring back some of the rock stuff a bit. Like, you know, I just saw down here in Delaware where I live, just saw a Steve Miller band with Marty Stewart, right? And, you know, Marty Stewart, I was never a Marty Stewart fan, you know, but after I saw Marty Stewart, it's like, oh my God. I mean, the vocals, the band, stellar musicians, you know, I'm like a huge Marty Stewart fan, you know? So the thing is I think that maybe some of it got absorbed with country. I know guys like, if I bring a name up, like Dan Huff, right? So Dan Huff had Giant, right? Yeah. And great freaking band, right? So I know Dan went to Nashville years ago and had great success in producing a lot of stuff there. So I want to say that a lot of guys that had success in our genre that we're still in now that really doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it does in small pockets, but they all tried to get into the country thing, right? So or you know, just I mean, I've been in the wine business for 20 years, man. So I have a job, right? So
that's good.
To have it. It's a great company called Bogle, Bogle. Yeah, we're a winery from California. I've been with the Bogle family for 15 years, and they just love the music that I throw into all of our meetings and wine tastings and all that stuff. So thank God music can live through the wine thing too. But not to get off your point here.
Cool.
So when I turn the radio on, I don't turn it on. I don't turn the radio on. So
see, I knew I was gonna like Robbie. I knew I was gonna find a bond here. I knew that was gonna happen. I just, you know. But anyway, so you don't turn the radio on.
I don't. Maybe to get the weather. If I don't have my cell phone in front of me. I don't even want to hear talk radio anymore. So I'm all done. So
gotcha.
I don't know what's happening, man. I mean, once in a while. I mean, I don't watch the Grammys. I think the last time I watched the Grammys is when Toto won for Toto 4, all that, and then after that I never watched it again. You know?
Wow. Yeah, you quit before I did. I mean, I probably watched it into the, like I said, you know, and I don't blame it all on them, but you know, there's this band that came out in 1991, late 1991. I won't mention their name because I want to keep it positive. I was working at a record store called Strawberries at the time. Plus, I had a job on the radio. Plus, I was a DJ in a club. And that album came out, and I listened to it, and I said, what is this crap? I mean, and we had to play it. In Strawberries, you had to play all the new releases, and they would pipe the crap in, or they'd give you a tape, and you'd put it in the machine, and you'd play it all day long. And I mean, I wanted to shoot myself listening to that all day long. There were certain artists they'd give you that you'd promote, and you're like, yeah. But I mean, that was a sea change, as the phrase is, like from well-produced, polished. Now, I get it. A lot of people say, Dave, the music was really cheesy in the 1980s. I had a friend of mine that came on the show with me, talked about how like the 90s were kind of like a hangover because the 80s were such like this big party that got thrown. And then the 90s come along and it's like, hey, you guys are all hungover. This is the music of the 90s. We don't want the bright colors. I heard Martha Quinn say this, that bright colors, the creativity, all of that just disappeared. And it was cheesy now to like that kind of stuff. And it was uncool to like melody. You know, it was like you needed to like dark angst, you know, guys that sing like Cookie Monster. That's the best way And I don't know, you were a guy who could have been fronting a band. Like if somebody needed a replacement singer, well, Robbie could have done it. But there was no, you know, and this happened to so many artists that they just
Dave,
break
I actually got a call years ago from Frankie Sullivan.
Oh,
I did. And
how long ago?
That was a long time ago. I was going to go down to Right Track recording studios in New York and get in there, but it never materialized. I got the call from, I think what happened was, I think Bobby Kimball gave Frankie my name, and Frankie called me, and for some reason something happened, and it didn't work out, or Jimmy came back in the band again because maybe Jimmy was having a hard time at that point in time with drinking or something. But I know that I got called on that. That was probably the closest that I got a call to being a front guy. Really, another fun time was, and I only tell you this only so you could get what I'm feeling in my heart and soul. So I got called up on stage when Toto was doing a gig in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun.
Yeah,
and, you know,
been there.
Yeah, like Lukather and Kimball always would see me in the audience, you know, in the front row, and they always would pull me up, you know, at the last song to do some vocals with them, right? And they were so sweet, man, you know. And so I got on stage with Kimball. It was doing some scatting on Hold the Line and all that kind of thing. But Bobby let me do a big verse and a large scat at the end. Yeah. Then I got behind like David Paich and did another tune. It's when they had their Through the Looking Glass album came out.
That was a good album.
Yeah, and I was next to Paich, you know, singing "Can't Get Next to You, Babe," right? And Paich was digging it, you know, and then we walked off because they were going to do their encore, and I wasn't going to be up there, so I was waiting with them, and you know, Michael Porcaro, God bless that guy, man. We had so many fun times. Yeah. I could go on for days about the times that Mike and I were in, you know, just hanging out, you know, and just having some laughs. But Mike said to me, he goes, "Oh man, you know, me and Paich, you know, love your vocals, you know, and all this kind of stuff." But
wow,
yeah,
close.
But so
really close.
It meant a lot, you know. But look at Joseph Williams, who I was actually, I forgot to tell you, in 1985, Fury or the Furies, we got on Star Search with Ed McMahon.
Get out of here! Right? You got any tape? You got tape?
You know, it's floating around somewhere. But guess who the male vocalist was in that same show? Joseph Williams.
Oh, no way!
I got a clip a few years ago. I got up with Toto and did a sound check, and we did a small snippet of White Sister, and Luke like kicks me in the butt. I got to send you that clip. It was really, really fun. Yep. And I walk over to Joe Williams. I said, "Hey man, you and I were on Star Search back in 1984 together, you know." And I don't think he remembered me still, but We were on the same show. Yeah, but Joe does a great job. He's a great
Yeah.
singer, and he's a great front man for them. So he's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's also part of I don't know if you heard that Champlin Williams Freestat album, the
Yes.
new one and the first one. I keep telling, and again, this is the blockage that people have with music these days. I'm like, hey, if you like Chicago and you like Toto and you like really good guitar work and you like melodies, you should check this out. People are like, what? Who? You know, and it's not on the radio. Could be on the radio. It's not on the radio. It's fantastic. They just released their second album and got another single out there. And Bill Champlin, I don't know, he's not aging. I mean, he looks old, but vocally he kind of sounds the same. So
love Champlin.
Yeah,
Champlin's got that grit. It was funny back when we were working at Michael Bolton's studio. This great songwriter was hanging out there for a while, Diane Warren.
Yeah.
And, Diane, great gal, great, funny girl. We had so many laughs with her, man. She was so funny. But we were horsing around. We were in the kitchen having a sandwich there. And I started doing my Bill Champlin thing for her. She had written, I think, "Look Away" for them, right?
Yes.
And I tell you, walking by, and the tears are in my eyes. Look away, baby, look away. You know.
Wow.
She was dying, man. She spit out her seltzer water. She goes, "Oh my God, you sound just like Bill."
Yeah. Then, and you know what? It's a lot of people don't know that song, and this is because I'm a geek, that particular song was not only the #1 song of 1989, it was the fastest charting Chicago #1 song. Went from, I was at the rock station down the street. I was dating a girl that was working at the Top 40 station. I was really jealous because we couldn't play Look Away because that was considered Top 40. And she was playing it like every 15 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, I wish I could play that song on my station. And it was just, it was such a weird thing because Chicago, you know, after 18, it was kind of unsure. Jason was there and, you know, Peter had left. And 19 was like, every song was a Bill song that was charted. And they were all Diane Warren songs. They were all co-writes or writes by Warren. And what's crazy is I had a little conversation with Ron Nevison back and forth, who produced 19, and he just gave it that crunch, that Nevison crunch, that sound.
Well, you know, Nevison's thing was just hanging a microphone like in the middle of the room, man.
Was it?
That's it, man. I don't think he liked anything separate. I want to think that his, you know, I mean, in all those Jefferson Starship records, right? He was involved with. They all had that kind of like drum sound that's in a distant closet somewhere, or you know what I mean? It was a crunchy thing, though.
He told me, he's like, I had to have that drum sound, and he blames he blames the Chicago 21 failure on the fact that Gattaca got his mixes instead of the Ron Nevison mix, and he said they would have had another huge album, but the record label kind of goofed it up. And I heard the Nevison mix, and the Nevison is like, it's like a completely different album. I mean, there's a song that Champlin does called "Who Do You Love" on Chicago 21. And it's like something you would play at a hard rock station. It's got grit, you know, and it just rocks. But man, that Diane Warren, I mean, Bad English. You look at the track record she had in that. It's
and
crazy.
A great person.
Yeah,
bro, she wasn't, man. She was such the down to earth. I mean, some of the one-liners she would come out with, I can't say on the show, but there was funny, dirty one-liners from her, man. She is a
songwriter, so maybe that might be some.
Yeah, she was awesome.
So I've covered a lot of ground with you. So hey, here's a good question. So is there going to be another Find Me record?
Yeah. So let me tell you, you know, David, I'll give you all that's going on, because you're going to love this. So right now I'm working on a solo record for Escape Records out of London. And
I know Khalil.
I'm sorry?
I know Khalil.
Yes. So Khalil called me last year and wanted to do a solo record with me. So I'm proud to say that Steve Overland has written many of these songs on this album. So when you get a demo from Steve Overland, I say to myself, all right, what am I supposed to do with this one, man? You know, the guy's so great.
He is.
But the album's coming out great. I just sang the last tune for it yesterday, and we're gonna work. Just gotta put some tambourine stuff, maybe a couple more background vocals. But that record should be coming out in October on Escape, and
Nice.
I think it's just Robbie LaBlanc is the solo, but all different styles, man. From like Daryl Hall to Robert Palmer to rock and roll. So it's got a lot of genres on this thing. So it's a lot of fun.
That is very cool. I will be talking that up. I'm going to be talking that one up for sure.
Thanks. And then I've got a little side thing that we've done. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it came out on Andrew McNeese's label, Melodic Rock Records, and it's called Cannonballs. And Cannonballs was myself, Vince DiCola on keyboards. Vince wrote all the Rocky, the Rockies.
Yeah. I do remember that.
Transformers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Doug Wimbish from Living Color on bass.
Ooh.
Jonathan Mover from Satriani and all that. Jonathan's on drums, and my buddy Alan Friedman plays all the guitars. And it's called Cannonballs, and it's like almost like a Toto Mr. record, When we hang up, what I'll do is I'll send you one to your house, man. I got a few copies laying around on it, and I'll send you one so you can check it out.
Yeah,
very fun. Yeah,
that one went under the radar. I did not hear about that.
Slow release, but we're gonna work on a second one, and it should be a lot of fun. And then Find Me, I believe I haven't signed the papers yet, but we're gonna do another Find Me record. I'm pretty sure that we're like this close to getting it done. I'm gonna have a little bit of a different. I think Stefano Lionetti's gonna do this one.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah. So if you're,
it's so weird that you're telling me this, because I just listened and did a video. It hasn't been uploaded yet about the new Lionville song. Just unbelievable. Yes. They got Lars from Work of Art singing vocals.
Great.
Not as good as you, but it's pretty good.
Oh man, no. Listen, thank you, my friend. As I do the sign of the cross, but
here you go.
You know what's coming full circle here is that you liked, Waiting for a Lifetime, and I believe,
yes,
didn't Stefano and Alessandro write that one?
I think you told me. I think you told me that, or somebody told me that was it traced back to those guys, and I could kind of hear that. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's my favorite song on the record. So
I think it's mine too, and it's so if that's the case, and if all this goes down and we do the Find Me 4, I believe Stefano's going to do it.
Sweet.
You probably count on more material sounding like that, right? So yeah.
You're giving me. Hey, at least you're giving me hope, because I know where to find it. It's like beggars, finding bread, that kind of thing. So. I mean, seriously. I mean, I just, like you said, turn on the radio. No, but at least I can go on YouTube. I can go to Spotify. I can call Robbie up and say, hey, Robbie, send me some music, buddy, and it'll work out. Yep.
Where's your home base, man?
I'm in Florida. That's why I think I asked you, because there are a bunch of guys for some reason. Alessandro's in Florida. My buddy Jerome Mazza, he's up toward Orlando or Tampa, whatever. Sure. A lot of these guys who can sing for some reason are in Florida, because I think they like the Italian. They go from Italy to Florida, maybe because of the climate. I don't know.
So is Alessandro lives in Florida now?
Yeah. Well, he goes back and forth. I think when we talked, he said he was in, I think somewhere. See, everybody's up like the I-4, Orlando, Tampa. I'm further south. I'm down near Fort Myers.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like Gulf Coast, but inland a little bit. So we're bracing for. I'm looking outside the windows. Some black clouds out there.
Oh boy!
This is the rainy season down here. It doesn't rain for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden, just doesn't stop. So,
David, Jerome Mazza, does he sometimes do some of the Kansas stuff or the Steve Walsh
dude.
stuff or something?
All I can tell you, and this is because it's confidential right now, is he's got a new thing coming out, this Pinnacle Point 2, and I've done videos about it, but I can't get into too much detail. Wait till you hear the production on this thing. This is Khalil's record label. This is Escape Music.
Well, I may do an album with Jerome.
Oh, when?
I don't know. We're kind of kicking it around at this point. So
you guys,
that's a possibility, actually. Yes.
I think you guys would hit it off. I mean,
yep.
You're kind of the same genre, personality-wise. The whole thing. He's got super high, but you've got kind of more of a little more baritone and stuff going on, but you can get up there. I mean, he's the contrasting of the two vocals. I mean, he's like Steve Perry and Greg Raleigh or something. Maybe you could do a. I don't know.
We'll like see what happens. If it's meant to be, it will be, man. We'll see. But,
yeah.
It's at least a possibility, anyway. Yeah.
That's sweet. That's really cool. Yep. I mean, again, maybe this video is just for me. It's just I'm doing it for myself, and people want to watch it. That's great. But this is what I like, and I'm hoping that more of this stuff happens with Frontiers, Escape, whoever the record label is. I guess I can't. I get on my soapbox about the radio industry and stuff, and everybody's kind of focus tested out of existence, and these songs that I used to hear, I don't hear, and nobody even hears certain artists anymore. It's sad, but, and it would be cool. And there's a couple radio stations out there. There's this Class X radio up in Ohio. They play like a track, they would play like a Find Me song, and then they would play something by, Def Leppard. You know what I mean? So there are a few of them out there, but you got to really, it's not like getting in your convertible and going out and like you used to.
Nah, it's tough, man.
So,
it's too bad where it's going, but it's no one ever knows when things get cyclic again. They get styles back 70s again. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have
we're in about a 30-year drought, Robbie. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to be optimistic, man.
But here, I like the people who come on. I've had a couple guys. Brian Cole is another friend of mine's, vocalist from Pittsburgh, and he's done some really good projects. He's actually sung with Giant, so there's
cool.
a band. But me and him talk a lot, and we talk about this stuff. And maybe I'm the one of the guys. I don't know if I'm the only guy, but I intend on trying to keep this alive and keep this going. So I know there are a few others out there. There are a lot of people in Europe that just get it. They get it. All those Swedish musicians that are either trying to be Toto or Survivor or Foreigner, and I marvel at how they get it, and they write songs with that kind of template. And I'm just like, even if they miss the mark a little bit, the fact that they're trying to me, it just is really cool.
Same here, yeah. I hope that we have a shot to make some more records. I'm certainly as much as I can. I'm gonna try and sing as much as I humanly can.
Yeah.
You just never know how much time you have left. Like, I'm not trying to be like morbid or anything, but just trying to just keep what's left of the voice. I got a little pickup band down here that I play in Delaware. We just do cover songs just to keep the voice
active.
Going.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. So with the help of God,
we
stay healthy and
Robbie, you're only 60, brother. You're only 60.
That's it, man. That's it. Yep.
So look at Sammy Hagar, 73.
Yeah.
He's like the Bionic Man, and there's Mickey Thomas. There are guys that are Paul Rogers. You can go down there's some old dudes out there that are still bringing it. So.
Dave, you know what? I want to mention. I'm not sure if you've heard any of the stuff that we're doing in Australia with East Temple Avenue. Do you know that one?
No.
Oh man, check it out. Yeah. So we just got a deal with AOR Heaven, and they're going to put the album out soon. But great guys in this record. Just check it out. Darren Phillips is in it. Phil Lindstrom. Herman and Dennis Kierman Furin, from what's his band with Robert solid. You're great guys are in this little band.
Yeah.
And it's called East Temple Avenue, man. Check it out. We got some free singles out there.
All right. Well, send me a link or something. That one I missed. I mean, again, this is why we have you on, and we.
All right on.
Definitely send something my way. Well,
Done,
I'm thinking we're going to wrap for now because I think I don't know how long we've been talking, but I knew this was going to happen. And
good.
You know, if somebody watches the whole video, they receive a special gift. No, I'm just kidding. If you make it through the whole video, I thank you for watching the entire video. Any last words, Robbie, to our huge audience here?
Well, look, man. Whoever buys the CDs, you know, that's left in the world and listens to this music, I'm extremely grateful for you having me on your show, and that anyone even would give a hoot about our stuff, right? So just thank you. That's all I can say.
All right. And thank you for being on and doing this on kind of short notice.
Right on, man.
And maybe we'll do it again. Maybe once we get closer to release dates on your solo record and also the new Find Me and whatever other project, Cannonballs, whatever else you got out there, we will talk it up and maybe have you on again.
Sounds like a great idea, David. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Thanks, Robbie.